The space station Aurora's Reach hung quietly above the lavender clouds of the distant planet Alira -7. Its long, curved corridors hummed with the soft vibrations of engines and the occasional beep of life support systems. Outside, the planet glowed with strange energy streaks that twisted like ribbons of light across the sky. To the humans aboard, was beautiful, but also deeply mysterious. Commander Alara Voss walked down the narrow hallway, her boots making soft echoes. She had been here for 3 months, overseeing a team sent to study Alira 7's unusual energy readings. The planet had shown signs of an energy field unlike anything Earth had ever recorded. Scientists speculated it could be intelligent. Alara paused outside the observation deck. Through the reinforced glass, she could see the planet's surface, shimmering in a pattern that almost seemed alive. A slow, steady pulse of light traveled across the plains. And for a moment she felt as though the planet was breathing. Inside. Dr. Kieran Hale was already at the viewport, leaning slightly forward. His dark eyes were wide with fascination. Unlike Alara, Kieran rarely spoke unless necessary, but when he did, it was always precise. "It's responding," he said quietly. "To what? I can't tell yet." Lara joined him, standing shoulder to shoulder. "Responding how?" Kieran turned to her, his expression both serious and awed. "The energy pulses faster when we move closer. It changes when we speak."
"I think it
"Listens," Ilara frowned. "Listens. Not like a person," Kieran said, "but it reacts. Almost like it senses intention. Human presence, maybe even thought." The commander studied him. She had been trained to handle crises and to keep her team calm, but she felt a flicker of excitement. Humanity had always sought the unknown. Now, they were at the edge of discovery. The station crew had learned to expect long nights. Sleep cycles had to be staggered, because the planet's unusual energy interfered with the station's instruments. On one such night, Ilara found herself in the common area with Kieran and Lieutenant Maris, the station's pilot. They sat in silence, each lost in thought. While the planet below shimmered like a living painting, Maris began breaking the quiet. "Do you ever wonder if it's aware of us in a way we can't understand?" Ilara leaned back. "I wonder about a lot of things, but I know humans can adapt. We always find a way." Kieran, unusually contemplative, said it feels like it wants to communicate. Not with words, but something deeper. Maybe patience. Maybe intention. The three shared a quiet moment, listening to the hum of the station and the faint pulse of the planet's light. It was the kind of silence that could make a person feel both very small and very alive at the same time. Night after night. The team gathered in the observation deck. They shared stories about Earth, about childhood memories, about small victories and failures that had shaped them. Kieran told Alara about the forests he used to explore as a child, and Maris spoke of the nights she spent staring at the stars from her backyard, imagining distant worlds. The conversations were slow, deliberate. No one rushed. Words floated like fragile satellites, each one significant. Even in silence, the connection between them grew stronger. They were alone in the vastness of space. Yet their shared humanity made the loneliness bearable. One evening, as the planet's energy shimmered unusually brightly, an alarm sounded in the control room. Ilara and Kieran rushed over to see that a minor gravitational anomaly had formed near the station's lower orbit. The station rocked slightly, enough to send floating tools drifting across the floor. "Status report," Ilara barked, though her voice carried calm authority. Engineer Lyko was already at the console. "Gravity spike, Commander. It's small, but unusual. The planet's energy is fluctuating more than expected." Kieran frowned at the readings. "It's reacting. Something we're doing, maybe even just our presence, is causing it to change." Ilara nodded. "Prepare the sensors for a closer scan. Let's find out what we're dealing with before it gets bigger." The next hours were tense. The crew worked in quiet efficiency, monitoring readings and adjusting equipment. For once, the long nights felt heavy with purpose. Outside, the planet pulsed like a heartbeat, silent but insistent. During a rare break, Alara found herself back on the observation deck. Kieran joined her without a word. They watched as the energy streaks danced, each pulse like a signal they could almost but not quite understand. "You think it can understand us?" Alara asked, her voice soft. "I don't know," Kieran said, "but I think it's trying to teach us something. Or test us. Maybe both." Alara considered this. Humanity had always faced unknowns, every continent explored, every ocean crossed, every star charted. And always, humans had persevered. She believed deeply that they could rise to this challenge too. Weeks passed. Minor anomalies continued, each one unique. The crew learned to observe more carefully, to communicate with the planet's energy through small gestures, adjusting the lights, moving slowly, speaking in calm tones. Slowly, they noticed patterns. The energy seemed drawn to collaboration and creativity rather than force or panic. Late one night, Kieran stayed behind on the observation deck, sketching the patterns in the energy on his tablet. Alara watched him from the doorway. He rarely spoke, but his focus and care reminded her why humans could achieve so much. They did not rush. They thought. They adapted. They endured. "You've been at it for hours," Alara said. Kieran looked up, a faint smile on his face. "I want to understand it before anyone else tries to interfere. We can't afford mistakes." "Not here." Alara nodded, understanding. It was the kind of care that made humans extraordinary patience, persistence, and respect for the unknown. The crew continued their nightly rituals, long talks about hopes, fears, and memories. Careful observation of the planet. In quiet teamwork that strengthened their bonds, they began to realize that the unspoken heat of the planet was mirrored in themselves, the quiet intensity of human determination, curiosity, and courage. One particularly bright night, the planet's energy flared as though responding to their presence. Lights across the station flickered, and the floor vibrated slightly. The crew gathered in the observation deck, awe and tension mingling in their expressions. Kieran whispered almost to himself, "It's responding." To us, Alara placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "Then we respond back, together." The nights continued, each one a blend of wonder, study, and quiet reflection. Slowly they pieced together the behavior of the energy field. Each observation revealed more about the planet's strange intelligence, and each success reinforced the truth that humans could adapt to even the most alien conditions. By the end of Part 1, the crew understood that their mission was more than science. It was a test of human resilience and ingenuity. The planet below, with its living light and strange patterns, was not a threat but a challenge. And humanity, in all its determination, was ready. They had come to Illyria 7 seeking knowledge. What they found was confirmation of what humans had always known in the vast unknown. It was human curiosity, patience, and courage that allowed them to thrive. Even when the stars themselves seemed to watch, and as the station drifted quietly above the glowing planet, Commander Alara Voss and Dr. Kieran Hale realized that the nights would always be long, the breaths slow, and the work of understanding endless but never meaningless, because humanity, in its quiet strength, could endure and rise above even the mysteries of the universe. The planet Illyria 7 glowed softly beneath the station Aurora's reach, its surface alive with streams of light that seemed to move with thought. The crew had spent weeks studying the strange energy, and slowly patterns had begun to emerge. It was not random. It was responding, reacting. Even to human presence, Commander Alara Voss called the morning meeting in the station's observation deck. The walls glimmered faintly as the planet's energy streaked past. Crew members gathered quietly, each holding a tablet or notebook, their eyes wide with anticipation. "We've observed reactions to movement, sound, and even thought patterns," Kieran Hale began. "The energy seems intelligent and awareness of some kind, but it communicates without words. Our challenge is to learn how to interact safely." Lieutenant Maris leaned forward. "So, we're not just studying it. We're trying to talk to it," as Kieran replied. "In its own way, yes. But we have to be careful. It's powerful, and it doesn't act like anything we've ever known. Ilara nodded. We've prepared for this. Our priority is understanding and adaptation, patience, precision. That is how humanity thrives in the unknown. The crew suited up for their first descent to the planet's surface. The shuttle hummed as it detached from the station and moved through the energy streams. Outside the window, the lights danced, almost alive. Kieran pressed his hand lightly against the glass, his eyes focused. As the shuttle touched down on the crystalline plains, the crew was greeted by a breathtaking sight. The ground was covered in translucent formations that glowed softly, pulsing in patterns that seemed almost like thought waves. The air was thin, but breathable, filled with a gentle hum that resonated through the bones. Ilara stepped out first. The energy reacted immediately. Pulses of light traced the path of their feet, moving in rhythm with their steps. The crew exchanged awed glances. "Look," whispered Maris, pointing. "It's following us." Kieran knelt near a crystal formation. "It's observing everything, even subtle motions. We have to approach carefully. Every gesture counts." The humans began their work slowly. They set sensors to record light patterns, mapped the crystal formations, and documented every pulse of energy. As they moved, the energy shifted, almost as if guiding them toward certain areas. Hours passed. The crew discovered that the energy responded to cooperative actions more strongly than individual efforts. When two or more humans moved in harmony, patterns became more vibrant and complex. When someone acted hastily or in panic, the energy dimmed, almost as if it disapproved. Ilara observed silently. Humanity's greatest strength was cooperation, she thought. Alone, they might have been lost in the strange signals, but together, they could begin to understand. At one point, a sudden flare of energy caused a small tremor beneath their feet. Kieran's eyes widened. It's reacting to something. We're not doing intentionally. We need to remain calm. Ilara placed a hand on his shoulder. Steady. That's what humans do. We assess, we adapt, we respond without panic. Slowly they realized that the energy could record and remember human behavior. Each careful gesture and observation influenced the planet's reactions. The crystal planes were not just alive, they were intelligent, learning, and aware of them in a way that required patience and respect. That evening, the crew gathered in the observation deck of the shuttle. Exhausted but exhilarated, they shared their findings. It's learning from us, Kieran said. I think it's trying to communicate through patterns, through pulses. But it's subtle. It wants us to understand without forcing it. Maris smiled faintly. We're having a conversation with a planet, and we haven't even spoken a word. Ilara looked out at the glowing plains below. It's listening because we are careful, thoughtful, and patient. It recognizes human ingenuity, persistence, and respect. That's something only humans can offer, our ability to think, feel, and adapt at the same time. Days passed. The humans developed simple methods of communication. Light pulses from devices synchronized with the planet's energy-produced responses. Patterns were recorded, compared, and interpreted. The energy seemed to guide them toward areas rich in knowledge about the planet's own structure and mechanisms. One night, while the crew observed the glowing plains, an unusual surge of energy erupted near the station. The station trembled, alarms blaring. Status. Ilara commanded. Engineer Liko's fingers flew across the console. A major spike in the energy field. It's reacting to us. Possibly as a defense mechanism, or maybe it's testing our understanding. Kieran's voice was calm but intense. We need to synchronize with the planet. It will respond to organized, careful action. Panic will make it worse. Lara nodded. Everyone, follow protocol. Move as a team. Stay focused. The crew worked in unison. They adjusted sensor arrays, aligned the shuttle's energy emitters, and synchronized movements with the planet's pulses. Slowly, the tremors ceased, and the lights on the surface pulsed rhythmically. As if acknowledging their success, Kieran exhaled, a rare smile appearing. It's responding. We didn't just survive. We communicated. Ilara looked at her team, pride swelling. Humanity was capable of more than exploration. They could adapt, think creatively, and connect, even with a living planetary intelligence. Over the following weeks, the humans and the energy formed a subtle understanding. The planet's intelligence began revealing hidden structures, crystalline networks that could conduct energy, areas rich with minerals, and zones where pulses could be amplified for research. The crew realized that if humans approached carefully, they could unlock knowledge that might one day help all of humanity explore farther and safer. Kieran often stayed late into the night at the observation deck, recording energy patterns, experimenting with light signals, and testing reactions. Ilara frequently joined him not to interfere, but to observe the patience, care, and intelligence that made humans unique. One evening, she spoke softly. "You know, Kieran, we've always wondered if humans are special because of strength or skill. I think it's our patience, our ability to think together, and our respect for the unknown." Kieran nodded without looking up. This planet, it recognizes that. It responds to us because we act as humans should, together, thoughtfully, and without force. The crew gathered for one final experiment. They moved in synchronized patterns across the crystalline plains, their movements guided by months of observation and understanding. The energy pulsed in harmony with them, lights bright and vivid, almost forming shapes that resembled symbols. For a moment, the planet and humans were in perfect sync. No words, no instructions, just understanding. The planet's intelligence, vast and alien, acknowledged the unique qualities of its human visitors as they returned to the station that night. The crew felt a sense of triumph, unlike any scientific achievement they had known. Humanity had not conquered the planet. It had connected with it through patience, ingenuity, and respect. Ilara addressed the team. "What we have done here is more than science. We've proven that humans can face the unknown and succeed, not with force, but with understanding. That is what makes us remarkable. That is what makes humanity shine," Kieran added, quietly. "The planet has shared its knowledge with us. It has listened, and we have listened back. That's what being human is about: learning, adapting, and cooperating in the face of challenges." The crew spent one last night in quiet observation. They watched the glowing plains, noting every flicker of energy, every shift in light. Long talks continued. Slow, thoughtful breaths filled the observation deck. In the unspoken heat, the tension, curiosity, and passion for understanding lingered. Stronger than ever, the mission to Alira 7 would be remembered in human history as a landmark of exploration. Not because humans had claimed a new world, but because they had shown that intelligence, empathy, and collaboration were the traits that truly defined their species. And as the crew of Aurora's Reach prepared to leave the planet behind, the glow of Alira 7 seemed to pulse in quiet farewell. Humanity had not dominated. They had connected. And in the silent rhythm of alien energy and human thought, there was proof that, even among the stars, humans were capable of remarkable courage, wisdom. In harmony, Ilara stood on the observation deck, watching the planet fade into the distance. "We'll carry this understanding back to Earth," she said softly, "and we'll continue to explore. We'll continue to listen. We'll continue to prove that humanity is something the universe should never underestimate." Kieran nodded, placing a hand on the glass beside her. "And no matter how long the nights are, or how slow the breaths, we will endure. That is what makes us human. That is our strength." The stars stretched endlessly beyond them. The planet below shimmered in quiet acknowledgement. And the crew, exhausted but triumphant, knew that humanity had taken its first true step in connecting with a world unlike any other. Because even in the cold and dark of space, humans carried something no alien intelligence could replicate: patience, creativity, courage, and the unspoken fire that allowed them to thrive wherever they went. And somewhere in the glowing plains of Alira 7, the planet seemed to agree.